Today I'm breaking down an EDM beat I created. I'm going to focus mostly on the arrangement and my workflow since many of you were curious about that. As I'm going through, I'll explain why I made the decisions I did. In this beat, I'm using sounds from Nexus 3, the KSHMR expansion in particular. If you don't have Nexus 3 and you want to follow along, you can use any sounds that you have. But wow, the KSHMR expansion is so nice. All right, here's the beat. Before we get to the breakdown, if you're new around here, I'm SanjayC. If you love videos about music production, gear reviews, and more, hit the like button and subscribe if you haven't already. I'll link to the arrangement in the video description so you can download it. I'll also put links to the other plugins I used in this beat. If you're interested in checking out the other new features in Nexus 3, watch my video here. Now, first of all, I didn't have the song in my head before I began. It evolved from playing around in Ableton with the sounds. I always start out by putting down a drum beat. I'm going to show this to you in the session view. For those of you who don't know Ableton, this is the looping view. I created a basic drum beat to keep time with, a steady kick drum line and some snares and tops. Here's the kick, snare, hi-hats. Once I had that, I could play around with some of the cool sounds in the KSHMR kit. There's some really nice guitar sounds in this expansion pack. The one I chose for this song is 2 nylons and 1 string. Now, if you hit the key harder on this sound, you actually get this slide. Now, when I first started this out, I came up with this beat that I didn't really care for, but I'll play it for you anyway. So that's kind of where the idea started because I really wanted to just add that guitar in there, but I didn't like that beat at all, so I tried something else. When I first started this, I said I need some decent chords before I get into that guitar. So I used the Islands Pad preset. 90% of the time, I start my beats or songs with the chords because I try to find a chord progression that is inspiring. I can really write the melody around the chord progression. The next thing I found were these strings, and these strings just took things to a whole new level. Next, I wanted to add texture, so I added this ARP sound. The original preset sounds like this, but I didn't want it to be so heavy and so in your face, so I lowered the filter cutoff, and the arpeggiator I'm using is the one that's included with Nexus. Knowing that this would be the chorus, I needed something to build up to this chorus, right? So I needed a part B of the song. So I wanted to actually use more of the exotic instruments included with the Kashmir expansion. And I started off with this sound, the darak. Beautiful sounding instrument. I played it just during the introduction of the song to set that exotic tone. And I just needed a drone kind of sound in the background as well. So of course I went with the sitar. Now, you could go on with those two forever and have a whole yoga music episode, but I needed to build it up somehow. This called for the orchestral drums. The orchestral drums are laid out with different orchestral drum sounds all across the keyboard. Now, once I had these little parts, I said, it's time to start arranging. So I switched from the Ableton session view over to the arrangement view. And before we move on, if you're new to Ableton and you need to get familiar with the basics, I've created a video showing you how to create a simple song step by step. It's perfect for beginners and you can watch it right here. So you'll see I've kind of marked the different sections of the song here, and I arranged the sitar and darak here, so that forms the intro. Now, when it's coming time to build this thing up, I wanted to start introducing the chord progression, so I brought in that first synth. So now you hear that along with the orchestral drums, and I brought in the tops, just the hi-hats and open hi-hats. And now we're slowly coming to the build-up section. Bring in the kick drum. And those staccato strings. And there's the melody, just once. And now we build up, orchestral drums. Then the chorus starts. But before we get to the chorus, let me talk a little bit about the build-up. So I've got orchestral drums playing, and I've also added risers. The risers also come from Nexus, same kit. Under Effects Sounds, you've got the Effects menu. Let's just listen to the risers in the build-up section. And I cut everything off just for the sliding bass right before the chorus hits. I didn't play the slide of the bass. I actually just programmed that in with Ableton. So you've got your envelopes in Ableton and you can just program the pitch bend. It's just so much easier doing it this way. All right, let's get into the chorus next. We've got the same synth that I had in the beginning. So I've got the LFO tool on both of these synths to have that pumping sidechain compression sound in there. I also realized that the guitar was a little thin. I wanted to thicken up the melody, so I added this piano sound here as well. And the piano's playing this exact same thing as the guitar. Using the living room piano. I added a bass line in the chorus as well, just something to give it more rhythm. It's pretty simple, right? I've got the guitar and piano playing the melody. I've got these staccato strings. Oh, we forgot about those. Let's turn those on. Later on this beat, I do add something different. The vocal chops did not come from the KSHMR expansion kit, but I actually did get them from one of the KSHMR sample packs that he's made. And I just found a vocal in there, and it's just one sample that I chopped up. Now I've repitched some of these and I added some effects to them. You're probably hearing a lot of the echo and reverb. I added a dimension expander. I added the sausage fattener, and I also used the TG12345 by Waves. I just feel this adds warmth to about anything I put it on. I really love this plugin. I used Little Altar Boy by Sound Toys to pitch shift it. So without the pitch shift, it sounds like this. So with the pitch shift, I pitched it down. I love the Sound Toys plugin, Little Altar Boy. It actually made my list of top 10 plugins of 2019. You can watch that video of the top 10 over here. That's basically the song. Let me just take you briefly through some of the effects I added. Now, once I had the structure of the song down and I had the melody and chords and everything, and I really liked where the song was going, I then start to kind of nitpick at different things. Are things EQ'd correctly? And so that's the first thing I always do. I go in and I start EQing things. If you want to check out my video about EQing tips, it's on my channel. Check it out over here. I took the lows out of the snare so they're not conflicting with the kick drum. And you'll also notice I added transient master. Let's hear the snare without transient master first. I wanted it to be snappier. With it, that's a nice snap, right? On the tops, I added Microshift by Sound Toys, which I use to add a little bit of width to anything, and I really, really love doing this on hi-hats and stuff. All right, so the orchestral drums, I didn't do anything. I mean, these drums sounded great right out of the Nexus pack. I did use automation on these. I am raising the filter cutoff, and I'm also adjusting the volume. I added a sidechain compressor to the bass line so that when the kick drum hits, the bass line gets out of the way. I also added CLA bass to this because I wanted to modify the preset a little bit, and I wanted to give it a little bit more of the sub. For the guitar and the piano, I added the TG12345. Let me show you what difference this makes. Here's the guitar just as the preset sounds. Now let's add the TG12345. Kind of brings it to the front of the mix as well. I got rid of the lows. I then added reels. You can use reels to add kind of a lo-fi effect to things like a warping tape, but you can also just use it to add some warmth. The reverb you hear is coming from Nexus. Finally, I actually mastered the song with Ozone 9 by Isotope, just using their Master Assistant preset. That's it. Hey, if you found this video interesting or educational, hit the like button and subscribe if you haven't already. Make the music you love and check out one of these videos next.